Welcome to David Game College Horizon Pods. In this podcast, we are going to look at the history of David Game College and in particular, the 50th anniversary of the school. With me today is one of the most important senior management of the college, Mr. David Game, the founder and co-principal of David Game College. Welcome, David, to the Horizon Pods.
It's a great pleasure for me personally to be addressing you today, and many thanks to you, my friend and consultant Theo, for arranging this podcast. And it's a very, very auspicious year for us, as we've been 50 years under the same management, in fact, my own management. So I'm very proud of that, and I'm happy to say a few words about the college and its history.
Welcome, David, and I'm sure we're going to have a very interesting podcast together. But David, before we actually delve into the life of the 50 years as an educationalist, I want you to tell me a little bit about your background, because you went to one of our top universities, Oxford, and studied in mathematics. Tell me a bit about that time of your life and how you then moved and progressed into the realms of education.
Yes, well, I'll try and succinctly say a few words. Indeed, I went to Bryanston School, a very good boarding school in Dorset, very well known. And from there, I was already very good at mathematics from an early age. I always found mathematics easy. So as I went through Bryanston, I continued to enjoy mathematics. And I suppose it was suggested to me in the end that it would be a good idea to study maths at university. I also got an exhibition to Cambridge because my family had been to Cambridge before. But then I went to Oxford as well, and I managed to get a scholarship. So I went to Oxford to do maths with a scholarship there. So that was in 1964. And I then spent 3 years at Oxford, which was very, very interesting. I had friends who lived in the town. My best friend his parents lived there. So I very much enjoyed being at Oxford and meeting up with him a lot and doing new things which I had never done before, as usual at university. My experience was enriching, I would definitely say, at Oxford. So I finished my mathematics course in 1967, and I was still unsure what I wanted to do in the future, like many students are these days, so I decided to do a master's. So then I went to University College London, where I did a master's degree in number theory, MSc. And I was always very, very interested in numbers, I have to admit. And while I was doing that, I did some part-time teaching as well. My supervisor found some students, even while I was at University College. I would give some private lessons to a mixture of different people. And I gradually discovered I was obviously quite adept at doing that. And after 2 or 3 years, I had a suggestion from one of my students, actually, an overseas student from Singapore. He was the one who first put my idea in my head, why don't you think of setting up a college? I'd never thought of it, but he pointed out that if you had classes, people would come and join classes rather than teaching us all one-to-one. Simultaneously, a completely different student, a young girl who was only 10, her parents owned a basement, and it needed doing up. So
where was this basement?
It was in Lily Road, which actually, oddly enough, is a continuation of Old Brompton Road, where I'm still there to this day.
Wow.
But 62A Lily Road was a basement belonging to this family, and they needed it for repairing. For a few £100, I paid to do the painting up and repairing of this basement, 5 small rooms and a garden behind, and that is where I set up our college in February 1974. Wow. And this year we had the 50th anniversary. So that's what I taught there, small classes, and not just mathematics, but I got an economics teacher, I got a history teacher, and English, of course. We did English as a foreign language. We soon discovered many foreign students wanted to come. So there we are. We had quite unusual students in our first years. But after 2 years, I managed to buy a large house in West Kensington, 66 Fairholme Road, which I still own to this day. And we moved the college to that house. And I carried on teaching there. But then, after all, it was better to have proper educational premises. So then we took on some premises in South Kensington. That was in 1977. And then we gradually acquired more and more and more rented buildings in South Kent, Old Brompton Road, till we had about 7 different buildings. And the whole college ran there from 1977 until 1995. And we taught in up and down stairs, because all these buildings were rented by us, but they had no interconnection, so the students had to go up and down from each one to the next. So that was a very nice area, and students enjoyed it very much. It was not ideal because it was Victorian buildings.
Yes.
So in 1995, we discovered a huge building. One of our estate agent friends discovered it right next to Notting Hill Station, which is 69 Notting Hill Gate, which was about 14,000 square feet and all connected. It was the perfect place for a college. We had to spend a lot of money on completely refurbishing it, getting it ready. It had been a tax office before. But anyway, from 1995 autumn until 2015, well, in fact, 2017, we taught there. We gave our classes in that 69 Notting Hill Gate premises. We expanded. The amount of space was much more. We managed to do new courses. It was ideal for things like art and science, which had more space needs than other subjects. But we gradually expanded our complete range of subjects more and more and more, and ran a very successful A-level. And
that's what I was going to ask, David.
GCSE.
In the early
O-level
days,
it
you
was.
started with the
A-level and O-level.
The O-level in those days.
O-level, A-level, and English language. We always taught English language. From 1978, we founded our English language school, Kensington Academy it was called, which was actually mainly an adjunct to the A-levels. Many students had to do English before they could join the A-level.
The international students, you mean?
Yes. We were always very, very cognizant of international students. But from the very beginning, we also had lots of home students. We always took pleasure in that. And so they did, many did English, many did A-level, O-level, and then in 1989, we set up, I believe, the first university foundation program in England. I think we were either the first or one of the very first. Myself, with my head of mathematics and head of physics, who are still my partners today, established a university foundation program. The whole idea, we had our partner, which was Nottingham Trent University. The idea was to get students the vital education they needed in just 1 year rather than 2 years. So the idea was to get to university in 1 year. And as long as you had background up to year 11 and finished your GCSEs or O-levels or equivalent, you could do the foundation and be at university a year later. Not only that, but you could even come in January and finish in August and be there in September. So you could be in university in 9 months.
9 months.
Naturally, this course took off and became popular. But it didn't supplant A-levels because many students like having the more academic preparation of A-levels. It's a more prestigious thing to do, and it does exercise the mind more, and also you can do all sorts of different subjects which were not so readily available on the foundation. Also, of course, A-levels could get you into Oxford and Cambridge.
That's right. I mean, in those days, David, if I recall, a lot of the Red Brick and Russell Group universities wouldn't go near a foundation course.
That's right. In those days,
yes,
many universities did turn up their noses slightly, but it has to be said, partly probably because the universities have more and more and more need up till now to get foreign students, but secondly because our own course has acquired a very good reputation of being academically very, very consistent and very tough. The course director, Mr. Mansour Kavi, who was my student, I may say, in 1970s. I taught him mathematics. He then did his degree and his postgraduate and came back to teach for us. Brilliant teacher. And then he took over and ran the foundation course. And he is from Iran originally. Now he's long since been British. And he runs it. And he's maintained its high academic standards to this very day. And the foundation course is one of our successes. And I'm proud of it. Also, he has franchised it in China. He's in the process of franchising it in other countries. But still, we do take pleasure in getting a number of students to come to the UK and do it here because we feel best of all is to get used to the UK before we go to university. Yeah. So it's ideal if you can come and do a year with Mr. Kavi and his foundation course. Right. However, as I say, right to this day, the A-level is also flourishing alongside the foundation, and now it's GCSEs rather than O-levels. So anyway, in 1997, we moved to Notting Hill, as I said. 1995, sorry. In 2017, well, 2015, actually, we were told that we have to move from Notting Hill. Although it was a lovely, huge premises next to the station, it was getting very, very dilapidated. and the landlords decided the whole thing needed completely overhauling, which could not be done with us in there. So they helped us a great deal and found us the best premises of our lives, which is where we are now, where I'm speaking to you from, 31 Drury Street in the City of London, about 10 minutes from the Tower of London. So we are now in the ex-John Cass building, which is, I said Notting Hill was enormous. John Cass is 4 times bigger. We're now in a college which is actually 100 times the size of our first place in Lily Road. So we're now, I think, in our permanent home. I have every reason to believe we will stay here permanently because although we made a huge leap of faith in coming here, because our competitors are all in the west of London. None of our competitor colleges were in the city. But we have made a great success of the city. A lot of money needs to be spent on this building, I can tell you that. But because it belongs to John Cass, I took the leap of faith of doing it up myself. But I got a very long lease and I'm permanently housed here. So I think it's worth it. And now, since 2017, when we actually started classes here, we have in fact managed to establish also a boarding school. So we now have day students and boarding students here. We have A-levels, GCSEs, foundation course, English course, and now we have David Game Higher Education, DGHE, which is actually BTEC HNDs and degree courses, which is expanding, and these are students paid for by the British government. That's a different operation completely. They're all in the premises, but they're all in different departments, and they don't mix with each other for safety reasons. So we have higher education, we have English language, we have our A-levels, our GCSEs. We have also got more subjects like music. We never had music before because, frankly, it would have been too noisy. Now music is taking place from the basement where I am now. And we also have film studies. I think we have every available A-level we think is useful to the student. And the college is flourishing. And now it's our 50th anniversary. We had a wonderful celebration in our main lecture theatre. Here we have a lecture theatre of 220 seating. It was previously used by Metropolitan University, in fact. So this premises is a proper educational premises and very prestigious. So I'm really, really happy to be speaking to you from this premises. Now, that's given you an overview of the history of David Game from the point of view of our moves and our courses.
David, thank you. Wow, that's really impressive. And I'm sure there's even more to add to this, because tell me a little bit about your involvement on the international arena as well. You've had some developments over the years there.
Yes, indeed. Well, the history of David Game College is what I've just said. But while we were doing David Game College, I can say one of my mottos of philosophy since the very beginning is to try and enlarge one's offering to students and expand at the right moment as far as one possibly can, provided one maintains high standards in all the different courses. So from the very earliest days, we set up other courses. In the early 1980s, we established Kensington College of Business. We ran a business school with my partner Ian Pirrie. Now I have long since departed from that. We also ran a secretarial school at one point, and then we thought of running things outside London, and we started a college in Bath Academy, which is going to this very day, because I came across a lady who had a college there and she wanted to be my partner. And so we set it up very small inside another school, actually. But now it's expanded in Bath, and we have 2 hostels owned by myself, and we have a college of over 100 students in Bath doing the same courses that we're doing in London. And I have an excellent setup there, which I'm very proud of. So we've got Bath. Then I, for the first time, tried to establish colleges abroad. We all set up a college in Malaysia, actually, in Kuala Lumpur, in the outskirts of Kuala Lumpur, Ampang, where we set up our own courses, foundation and A-levels. But again, we did well out of it, and we moved it to do other courses than what we originally intended. It's always very hard to know in advance what are the best courses to do in foreign countries and what are the conditions. Then we established a college in Pakistan. This has been my most successful, I suppose, to date. In the late 1990s, again, due to the fact that a parent, rather like Malaysia, a parent of a student said, "You must come to my country and set your courses up." So I was always one for trying out new things if the right people came to ask me. So I went to Pakistan for the first time in the late 90s, and then we actually did set up a college in Karachi. And then a young couple in Islamabad decided they wanted to devote their lives to another branch of our college. So we set up Westminster School and College Islamabad, which I'm very, very proud to say now. This young couple have devoted their lives to it for the last 20, 25 years. Their children have gone right through the school from the age of 5 until the age of 18. And their daughter has just finished a law degree. And the school now has more than 2,000 students, mainly doing A-levels and international GCSE in Islamabad and nearby towns. It's extraordinarily successful. I'm very, very proud of that. That's our most, successful college abroad, without doubt. But separately from that, we also did new things in London. I had a building. After the business school moved out, we had an empty building. Having an empty building is a very good stimulus to do something. And what did we do? We set up a film school. My goddaughter happened to be finished her education, and she now runs our film school, London Film Academy, in my building in Fulham. That's done extraordinarily well. It now has a degree course, 2-year degree in film, and a master's degree, and diplomas of all sorts. It's extraordinarily successful, London Film Academy, and I'm very proud to be a major shareholder in that. We also have a small acting school in South Kensington, which is very, very worthy, but much, much smaller. And we have other associated colleges in London, which do similar courses to us. But then last 2 years ago, again, we took an opportunity. Some ladies in Liverpool had an English language school, which they've done very, very well and heroically for 20 years, one of the best English language schools in the country. But English language is no longer enough by itself to make a really, really successful business. So they wanted to expand their English language school and do other courses in the centre of Liverpool. So we had known them for many years, and we took a chance again, and we went in with them, and now we've established A-levels and foundation courses in Liverpool, central Liverpool. We're also teaming up with the Gerrard Academy of Football, because we always want to have some angle, something new. That's what we're good at. We always go through lots of hurdles to do this, but I think the College in Liverpool, which is just getting properly established now, is going to be another one of our successes. And we're still continually looking for totally new opportunities. Right now we're engaged in setting up something very, very new, which is a course being taught mainly on AI. But more of that later, because it's just going to begin in the next few weeks. So we're still very, very active, I'd like to say. And I've got the main reason why we can be so active is that I think my best selling point of my own self is that I'm good at choosing and finding the best people. I've got some wonderful, wonderful staff working for me, some of whom have been here for 40 years. I say we established 50 years ago, but I've got some staff who've been here 30 or even 40 years with me. So this is my claim to success, I suppose. But our other main selling point, one thing in which we are, I can say, with hand on heart, we are unique. Our college and our other colleges have amazing walls covered in genuine original artworks. My art collection, upwards of 2,000 paintings decorate our walls. So if you enter our college, you'll find it looks like none other. And I think that does benefit the mental health of a lot of our students. Let me over to you, Theo, to ask me any further questions.
I didn't want to interrupt, David, because for me that was so interesting to listen to. But you have had thousands of students that have come through and studied at the David Game Group. And you recently launched the Alumni Association and had a very big event. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yes, well, of course, I have so many alumni over the years, some of whom come to me in the most surprising places, like in my office in South Kensington, suddenly this man walks in and says, I'm in the US Navy, I'm a submarine commander, and he was our alumnus, for example. And then in Pakistan, a man came up to me in a restaurant, do you remember me? He'd been there 40 years ago. So we do indeed have a vast history of alumni. The question is how to bring them together and make them think it's worth joining. So we had a big party for them actually 1 month before COVID broke out in 2020. But so after that, COVID interfered. But then this year, thanks to you, Theo, and your assistant, Edward, we managed to have another event for our alumni. And indeed, we are encouraging lots of correspondence. We are sending them out our school magazine. and we are inviting them to visit us online. And we're going to have other events at the college. So we are very much cognizant of our alumni. We're also going to appoint some of them as ambassadors in certain foreign countries.
That's right.
So that when we go, for example, to Nigeria, a few Nigerian alumni can come out and welcome us and can tell the new possible enrolments about our college. So there are lots of benefits of alumni, but it's an extra effort to keep it and establish it. But we are very, very keen to do it. So yes, I'm very grateful to you for giving us a new impetus with the alumni.
Thank you, David. It's all down to you. It's all down to you. David, we're coming close to the end of the podcast. And what message would you like to send to the parents and students about these 50 years of David Game College?
Okay, well, one thing, it might be a slight diversion, but I haven't said anything until now about the fact that, of course, we love to get top quality students, and they do indeed go to all universities like Oxford and Cambridge, Imperial, many go there, University College London, many other Russell Group universities. But we also, like many other people, over the last few years, we have had more and more students with special issues, SEN, special educational needs, to the extent that we now have a full-time SEN officer helping them, and we've just appointed an assistant SEN officer as well. So we definitely do believe in educating the whole person, and we do not insist that a student has to be capable of entering a top Russell Group university. All we do insist on is that a student is seriously able to do the course they want to do. So it's not much use if a student comes and wants to do intensive A-levels in 1 year and they haven't even passed their GCSEs. For example, you'd be surprised if we get quite a few inquiries like that. We do know what we're doing, and we do, at the interview, educate the student to the extent that they do a course which is realistically attainable by them. And then we help them achieve this. That is our claim to fame. With our SEN officer, the assistant officer, we have 2 nurses with the boarding school. We have personal tutors for the students. We have teaching assistants. There's lots of extra free assistance given to students if they care to use it, so that they are encouraged and helped in doing their homework and in actually talking to people about issues they may have. We do look after the student. That is the whole point of us, really, that you monitor the student's progress, and there's enough people are here to actually see if the student is experiencing difficulties. And so that, I think, is our message for the future. Come to us if you are serious about study. There's a very good atmosphere here. It's in a very lovely position. We have a beautiful building with, as I said, more than 1,000 paintings in this building alone. And we have chosen many staff, teachers, who've been with us for many years. I know that in schools, most teachers are full-time teachers. Many of our teachers are not full-time, by the very virtue of the fact that they are expert teachers. So they want to teach for you part-time, and they will teach maybe at other places part-time, or they're doing other jobs. But some of the best and most dynamic teachers are like that. Just because a person has a teaching qualification and is a full-time teacher doesn't mean they're the most interesting and dynamic. What we want is the most interesting and dynamic and caring teachers. And that is my constant search, to find such people and keep them with us and encourage them. And I think that's what I'm proudest that we are doing. And I think that people can come to us confident that they will have a good way forward. Of course, we also have a brilliant person advising on university entrance and helping them get to universities. And our senior staff are very, very, very well versed in which universities are the best ones for the students. Added to which, you yourself know, Theo, that last year you took us to a university in Hungary, which I'd never heard of before. But now they're our partner as well. They have a wonderful place in Debrecen, and they actually run a degree course in medicine, which is accepted here, which is much less expensive than British medical degrees. So we're also looking at overseas universities in some cases. We have several now on our lists, and some of our students will go there. So we are constantly expanding our offering for the universities as well, on careers and on their university choices, and on being an alumnus after they've finished.
And finally, because I've just remembered something which is very important, David, you actually know every single student in the college, because you have a system whereby you interview your teachers and find out about every single subject and mark that they attain. Is that correct?
Well, yes, twice a year I sit down with every teacher and I make notes on every student in their class. This is very helpful because you find out for sure, first of all, if the teacher really knows their students, so you can see make sure that teacher is really well versed in their class and their teaching. Secondly, sometimes problems come up, like the class is getting behind in something and they have to have extra hours, so we can tweak the class. Thirdly, indeed, seeing certain students who have problems, and so I can check with our head of sixth form and our head of GCSE whether those students are getting all the extra attention they need. And of course also giving me an insight, as you say, at parents' evenings, which happen twice a year, on which students are doing well. I find it very, very good to sit down with every teacher and go through every student. I do certainly do that twice a year.
Yes.
Thank you for asking.
Very impressive, David. And I think that's why you have that longevity within the education sector. And you are the owner. You're not one of those equity-financed educational establishments, David. Thank you so much.
It's a great pleasure, Theo, and I'm very pleased to be doing this podcast. That's yet another new thing that we're doing this year, thanks to your innovation.
Thanks to David Game College. To all our listeners, thank you. I'm sure you'll find this very interesting. And if you want to listen to it, please go to davidgamecollege.com, where you'll find this podcast as well as all our other podcasts. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.